Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so if I do what Greg not wrong, so I add to it. Not taking it off. So we're here, typical like accelerate. Bam, bam. I kind of over-exaggerate. Just because I'm doing a strength move or power move, how you want to describe it, does not mean that there's not acceleration.
He's lost in suction.
Yep, it's time for a new one. All right, we'll do it the hard way. All right, we'll do it that way. Here, like start with blow, bam, same time. Just because does not mean I'm not accelerating. It's just kind of hard to see unless you're really paying attention. And maybe I'm really over-exaggerating. Reese is absolutely right. Even if I'm just steady state here, there I've got acceleration. Because it's not just acceleration here. It's acceleration here. How can I say?
Like that helix.
Like the helix, absolutely. Thank you for looping that back for me. Absolutely.
Like the what, sir?
The torus, the helix that we were talking about, that energetic spiral that you want. Bam. Nope. Okay. All right, where have you guys left off? How'd you have? Kicking should accelerate just like punching and blocking should. Nothing is different. All right, when you get to the end of whatever kata you're working on, I'm gonna. The question I'm about to ask is for kata, the entire kata, not specific focal points within the kata. When does the acceleration of a kata stop? Correct, but I'm talking about the kata as a whole, not each individual focal point. Okay? So what does that look like when you're doing a kata? Because you're right, that was the answer I was looking for.
Of course, at the end of the kata, you're staying in the energy focus of going until you say yame, then it's really like, it's almost like the power is continuing to go out until you say yame, and then, all right, the power is gone. Well, it's out.
Put a pin just a second, I want to. You're right. I'd say 98+%. Kind of went a little off angle from what I'm asking. So let's put a pin in that for just 1 second. You're saying,
As you're going back to yaw, you're still in a ready, and that should show acceleration.
there you go. That's the one I'm looking for. Okay, where I think you went astray was saying at the end the power drops, going back to Yaman, going back to Yoy. I disagree with that because for me, kata isn't over until you hit Yaman or you hit Yoy, and then exactly what you're talking about. Once you hit the Yoy, then you can let the power fade. Because to me, then the kata is over. So you kind of blend the two things, because that's kind of where I wanted to go. We're at the end of whatever. Here, I'm still in the Zanshin moment that you were talking about. Right? Fight's not over here. Now fight's over. Now we get to that power drain that we were talking about. For us, everything we do has bunkai. That includes coming back to York. And again, what is one of Jerry's pet peeves? Yeah, man. No. That's when you get hit. You lose focus. So, in whatever fashion you're envisioning for your bunkai, this still has acceleration to some degree. Yeah, it depends on what you're envisioning for your bunkai. All right, so wherever you left off, Hajime. Kick, punch. Step too soon. Punch. Oh, there we go. Now, supported block. Step forward. There you go. You need to come look, come look. Been there, done that. Okay, Fred, too steady state of a speed. There was very little acceleration. Where it becomes really obvious, you round kick, and you step forward. This, wham! It should just fly out of you at the end of that punch. There. It doesn't have to be that fast, but that's the acceleration I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for right there. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Right there. That type of acceleration. Hey, do me a favor.
I can't breathe.
Well, then you'll pass out. We'll make fun of you. Party rule
I'll
applies.
take over here by myself.
Then go over there in the corner somewhere. Alright, I'm liking what I'm seeing. You guys are doing better. Why was it Monday? Was no humidity, nice and cool, a little breeze, no bugs. Greg wasn't here. Greg shows up, it's like the pestilence from hell. The bugs, the heat's back, the humidity's back, nobody can breathe in the mask. I'm not saying it's his fault, but it is a strange coincidence.
You told me I look like shit when I do my kata, so maybe that's the why the bugs are around.
There is that. More acceleration on those lug punch. Doesn't have to be fast. I like the speed you're using, but it's flat. Again, it doesn't have to be fast. Don't equate acceleration with fast. That's all right. Middle outside. There you go. Now, down kick. Better. Left front kick, step back, middle outside block. Okay, now, after you round kick, when you step forward for that front stance, I want you to reach to just a front stance. You're trying to, I think your brain is still equating acceleration and speed, so you're ending up kind of this way. So, round kick, put it back. Now, when you step forward, then drive. Boom. Now, you keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Side kick, okay, keep going. Now, round kick again. Now, when you step forward, make that step forward part of your acceleration. It doesn't have to be fast, so no, like that. That. Right there. Stand up, middle inside block. Facing that way. There you go. Side kick. Step back, rising lock, punch, go. There you go. Alright, you guys are at the end of your couch, you're on there for a second. Up here, down block, step punch, no reverse punch. So it ends up on the incorrect side. Everybody has this issue in the beginning for a long time for me, with the pulling aspect of everything. It doesn't matter what stance you're going into, you are always going to pull. So one of the difficult things for a lot of people is they have this idea in their mind what karate should look like. And it typically comes from TV, movies, tournaments,
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid, right, that kind of thing. That is not always true. And it is definitely never true for the individual. None of the 5 of us are the same. Okay? We're not. We don't think the same. We're not built the same. We don't move the same. Nothing. We weren't brought up the same. Nothing about us is the same. So it is the principle of what we are doing that should not change. The technique will probably change. And it will probably change over the course of your lifetime. As you age, get banged up, crack things, bust things up, stuff happens, right?
Right.
You know, he still bounces when he falls. And I don't, you know, I fall, I still hit the ground. Kind of thing. His bones would probably heal if they break pretty quickly. It would take a while, that kind of thing. Stuff happens. So all of that to say this. Like, where it becomes really obvious is in like Kenon and Nidon and other kata that do this, that do that inline Shiko walking. So I'm here, well, please take Kino-sanda. If I go, okay, I need to go from here directly to a deep Shiko, I'm going to end up doing something crazy, coming around, landing real weird, and just kind of hopping into it. I see that to one degree or another with most of you, although it is getting better, you still need to work on it. I still want to go, okay, I have to pull to get into my Shiko. So that means I go to here. That's not very long. That's not very pretty. That's not going to win a tournament. No, it's not. And guess what? When I go to here and I accelerate into that, I'm going to break you over. This right now is my Shiko. To my back finish Shiko. At one time, the Shiko was better. Better's wrong word. It was different. It was longer, it was deeper, whatever.
So are you saying don't go long? 'Cause I've been doing this for instance.
Don't go longer than you can go long. Now,
Do your
for
standard Shiko for yourself.
your Shiko is fine. The length of it, okay. Nobody in here has a bad Shiko. They don't. Okay? And I'm not saying to change your Shiko. What I'm saying is to be aware of where your Shiko is, and when you're making transitions, especially weird ones like an inline Shiko, that's a weird transition. Okay? Don't try to go crazy to get to that end point. The major principle that you need to keep following is that pulling into position. Not the end point has to look a certain way. Because here's a, we were talking about this, I think, last week. Right? Week 1, day 1, we're talking about front stance. Yeah, right? This was last Wednesday we were talking about this, right? I think.
We'll see.
A little bit? Okay. Okay, I'll ask the question then. Describe a front stance. Teach me a front stance. Teach me a front stance.
So move forward, make sure you are pulling between some.
Okay, what else?
But majority of your weight into your front foot.
Well, it's because you guys weren't here last Wednesday. That's why this is not right. Okay, keep going.
Front foot. Make sure your feet are about shoulder width apart.
There we go. Keep going.
Apart, and make sure you're at a certain distance away.
Define certain distance. That's not a teachable word.
As far as you can go until you don't see.
Yeah, I disagree with the wording, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. You remember this from last week? Okay. What did we talk about last week?
I remember, and I recited.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we talked about the difficulty of actually explaining something when you're doing it. There's a difference between doing it and being able to explain how you do it.
So again, you're showing very well. Your wording, not so much. So Again, one of the things that everybody's going to start working on a lot is how to teach. Because one day, this is going to be your spot. Okay? And guess what? I'm going to tell you the same thing he told me. At some point, regardless of what you believe, you will cross over and you will have to explain yourself to whatever that is to you. Okay? He will be waiting. Okay?
Whatever what is.
Whatever you believe happens after you pass on, you will have to explain what you did on this floor to him. I guarantee it. He will find a way. So, if you screw up what he taught you, if I screw up what he taught me by teaching you guys wrong, that's not a conversation I want to have. He might have more sway on the other side than I know about, so who knows. All right, what else? Be more specific to the stance. What did we talk about specifically?
We talked about the fact that with a front stance, the distance between the front and the back leg is about the same distance of your torso.
Okay. What else?
That you should be leaning forward enough where the distribution is about 70-30. Your leg, your front leg, you would barely see the tip of your big toe in that stance. That shows that your weight is distributed to that front leg.
Okay. I'll give you a solid A-. You hit most of the high points.
Got the A+.
All right, so front stance, right? Front stance, front leaning stance. So weight is forward, 70-30, like Greg said. Feet are about shoulder width apart, wide. As much as your flexibility allows, both sets of toes pointing straight ahead. Front knee bent, like you were saying, if you look down, you shouldn't really be able to see your toes because you have a 90-degree bent angle at the ankle. So you're not too far forward where you have less than 90 degrees at the ankle. And you're not too far back where you have more than 90 degrees at the ankle. This allows you to move wherever. Okay. One thing that we don't talk about a lot is the length. So this is what Greg was talking. We're kind of talking about measuring it off of your body. So one of the things he came up with, which I liked, was your torso. It's a different way than I thought about it, but he's not wrong. So if our front stance is textbook front stance is shoulder width apart, what would be textbook length for anybody?
To be evenly distributed using your torso as a good model because your torque is holding up your torso.
Okay. In what way your torso?
In what way?
In what direction? Because my torso is not square.
The length.
Okay.
Height.
The height. Okay. Right. Okay. Which, for most people, will loop back to the words that I'm going to use. So again, I completely agree with what he's saying. It's a different set of words. If you like his words, keep his words. I'm going to loop it back for just a second. Okay. Without moving anything but one foot, what can we turn a front stance into? Shiko. Okay. Describe the width of a Shiko. Okay, our feet are 45, our knees are 45, about 45 degrees in the thighs. Back is straight, weight is even. How wide is a Shiko? And Greg is right when he's about to say the length of your torso. Okay? I want a different body parameter to describe the width of a Shiko.
Well, the closest thing I could say, sir, is basically one square.
No. Related to, yes-ish, depending upon the person, but related to the human body. So I can look at any person and go, your Shiko should start about this wide. There you go. Twice hip width. Well, yeah, most people are, yeah. Unless you get like some crazy bodybuilder kind of thing, hip shoulder, about the same thing. So if we can turn a front stance into a Shiko with the movement of just one heel, and our Shiko is now twice shoulder width wide, how long should our front stance be? Textbook. Twice shoulder width or twice hip width, twice shoulder width, twice hip width. So what does that mean for somebody really tall and really skinny? That means their front stance should only be about that long. But that's not pretty karate, because that's not what they do in a tournament. They do this, 9-foot thing, if you're a big.
Let's look at Jorge.
Look at Jorge. Oh, it drives me insane.
Now, he can move out of there because he's practiced, but that doesn't make it good-ish. It needs to work on it. So, right, you get tall, skinny people, narrow at the hip, their front stand's only this long. You get somebody like Chico, or like Hanshi, you know, he's pretty wide to him. His front stand's pretty long. But it doesn't look long because he's built the way he is.
And again, that's so that it's balancing what it's holding up.
It's balancing what it's holding up, and it gives you some place to go. Because I think I've told this story before about the lady that did Seiyunchin in a tournament, and her butt was about that far off the ground. Okay, you can't move from there. You can't. Now, she got there, and she did the motions in the kata, but you can't deliver power from there because your body is all wrong angle. You look at any of the old karate texts from Okinawa, the Tobu, Mabuni, when pictures, you know, were first available. Even the drawings from China. This was their front set. Now, it would be probably even less than 20 short.
Well, when we do that here, you guys say wider.
Yeah, we do.
That's reading that was the difference between Okinawan karate and Japanese.
Absolutely. Now,
More practical. Okinawan.
100% agree with that statement. Now, a lot of times when we're talking about wider or longer, it's because, in our opinion, you're not in the right place. Not that we want outside your body parameters. Like we were talking a couple of weeks ago. If we tell you to do and it don't feel right, well, hey, if it doesn't feel right, then we can have a discussion. That's perfectly acceptable. Because sometimes, like we were talking about, you're walking in Chico. If I'm seeing a front stand here, that's too much, biting your finger. If I see a front stand here, unless you have some joint issue, this is not a front stand. This is a decent fighting stand. It's almost on here. Might as well turn it into some machine. But it is not a front stand. Now, even though technically I'm in a front stance-ish position, why is this not a front stance?
So the feet are overlapping.
Which does what?
It's not, I don't feel like it's balancing as well as it. If the purpose is to hold a
Weight
picture.
distribution doesn't look 70, 30 in that.
Say that again.
The weight distribution doesn't look 70, 30.
Right, that's why. You're not wrong. Just from here, for me to turn this into, let's just say I really jacked my hip up or something like that. This is as long as I can go. I can turn this into a front stance. I turn it into a front heel stance. But if I'm here and I'm even, I might as well turn it into top chin. Just a weird top chin.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
What is wrong with a 50-50 distribution?
Nothing. It's in the definition. Kind of, words have meaning, kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with a 50-50. 50-50 is great. I fight from a 50-50 most of the time. I fight from Sanshin a lot. So again, there's nothing wrong with it. But having a 50-50 weight distribution and saying, I'm in a front stance, no, not because we're talking apples and oranges. It's kind of my heartburn with like the baton twirling Kabuto at tournaments. Okay. Is it fun to watch? Yes. Is it athletic? Yes. Does it require skill? Yes. Is it Kabuto? Absolutely not. Don't call it Kabuto. Call it what it is. Kind of thing. I don't call my stuff baton twirling. Don't call your stuff that's not Kabuto. So same thing. It's not a front stance. Call it something else. Kind of thing. All right. So all of that to say this. Be aware of your body parameters. Don't go outside them to try and match up some external visual that you have in your head. Okay? Don't rush getting into position. Get into the proper position and then go. All right, so wherever you left off, 2 more kata, not complete kata, but 2 more times through a kata, and then we'll call it a night. So, Hajime. oh, what happened to my acceleration? Took a long break to talk about stuff and everybody forgot what we were doing. Greg, that's kind of what I'm talking about. You were kind of making like a compassing motion with the leg. Stretch out, reach with that back leg,
Let me
and
do
then
it so you
pull.
can show me. You know what my Achilles heel is? Remembering where to go to figure out a piece of a kata. I could never do it.
Yeah, welcome to my world. Now, pivot, step, drive. Now, reach.
Oh, so I don't come
Yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah. Reach. Yeah. Okay, now, pivot, reach, pull. There, that way.
Oh, I wasn't doing it. Thank you.
You were kind of,
So it's the
This
second,
way.
the last one that I
it's
you
the
know,
second of the pair that,
and the last piece of it. It was-
All right, while you guys are doing this, since Greg brought it up, I'll tell you a funny story. There's a guy out in Texas, remember the Chikibukai? Great martial artist. I mean, that dude knows kata like you wouldn't believe. Great fighter too, I'm not taking anything away from it. Named Joseph Saldana. This man has studied his kata in such a way that you can ask him to start any kata he knows at any position and he can pull it off. You tell him, hey, the 12th move in Niju Shiho, start there. Boom, doesn't even think about it. He's dumb.
Literally, you take a 12th move. and-
Literally, that's what. Yeah, you're like, okay, what? Start at the third move of P90, bam, doesn't even think about it. Like, how does your brain do that?
Photographic memory.
Apparently.
Yeah, I guess again, over time, maybe that'll get better, or maybe that's just me.
Depends. Mine has gotten a little better over the years,
Oh,
but
so you
not.
have that same issue?
Oh yeah, it takes me.
Look
If you
like
say, I cannot do, hey, do the 12th move or whatever. That I can't do. But like, yeah, okay, the end of Nidan, usually okay, there I am, boom, 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 I can figure it out. But yeah, you just say, okay, the 5th move of pull a kata out of thin air, he's right there. All right, yeah, man, Kim.
Well, sometimes, what is the fifth move? Sometimes my fifth move might
That's
be like
that's
this.
part of my problem right there. Where do you count? Sean Eric and I have this discussion a lot. And it's different for everybody. All right, just stay with your call, dude.
Go, Jake. Show your name. Right. Johnny. Right. Oh, Johnny. Right.
All right, questions, comments, concerns? You good? Did that work out better? Back in hand?
It's easier to do back in hand, yes.
I saw him doing it, I was like, buddy, you need a punch.
Alright, for those of you that don't know, Ken boo-booed his finger, and we were talking Monday about sympathetic reflexes in the human body. If he was trying to do one hand straight, one hand close. That's not just him, this is the human body. Human body does not like to be asymmetric. And it doesn't. So I saw you were doing this, I was wondering how it was working out a lot better for you. So if you're gonna do something one hand, you need to do it with the other. And it applies to everything too. Where, like, police get in trouble, sympathetic trigger finger.
What's that?
Sympathetic trigger finger. So you'll see police, not a lot, thank God, but it's something that they need to train more on. They'll have a guy at gunpoint. They'll decide, okay, I don't need to shoot this guy, I want to tase him. So instead of putting the gun away, drawing the taser, doing the taser, they got the gun on, they pull the taser, and go, zap, bang. Because the body wants to do this. It doesn't want to do that.
Is that an actual term?
Sympathetic reflex, yeah. All right, on that happy note, nothing else? Cool. What's the next? Go home.